Today, we're diving headfirst into a 16th century marvel that holds a very dark, incredibly chilling title, India's most haunted location. You know, every single corner of Rajasthan seems to hold a story, but the tale of Bhangarh Fort, well, it's one of those rare places where literally nobody quite knows where the truth ends and the myth actually begins.
Now, you might be thinking this is just some old wives' tale, right? Well, get this. The Archaeological Survey of India, the official government body that maintains the fort, has literally placed a physical warning board right at the entrance. And it says entry before sunrise and after sunset is strictly prohibited. So you can wander around in the daylight, but you absolutely must be out before the sun goes down. This real-world official mandate? Yeah, it really just adds fuel to the terrifying mystery of what actually happens out there in the dark.
Okay, let's dive into this. Picture Bhangarh. Back in 1573, it was built by King Bhagwant Das of Amer, and this place was a beautiful, prosperous, and happy city, bustling with over 9,000 residents. But fast forward to today, and you're looking at deserted, decaying ruins with absolutely zero residents. A thriving city simply turned into a ghost town, and honestly, locals are so completely terrified of the place that they avoid it even in broad daylight.
To really understand this eerie isolation, we have to look at the geography. Bhangarh is nestled away in the Alwar district of Rajasthan, about 235 kilometers from Delhi. It sits dramatically enclosed on three sides by the ancient Aravalli Hills. So when you're there, it creates this natural fortress that feels, quite frankly, completely cut off from the rest of the world.
All right, let's move on to Section 1, the Dark Curses. Here are the myths behind Bhangarh's downfall.
The very first story revolves around a powerful ascetic named Guru Balunath. When the king first started building the fort, Guru Balunath, who lived and meditated right nearby, gave his permission, but with one insanely strict condition. He said the fort could never, ever be built so high that its shadow would touch his sacred meditation spot. And back then, the words of spiritual figures were deeply respected, so the king gladly complied.
So for the first couple of generations, everything's cool. The successors respected the boundary. But then, Generation 3 takes the throne, and arrogance kinda sets in. They totally ignored the warning, recklessly built the fort higher, and the inevitable happened. The shadow of the fortress fell right onto Guru Balunath's spot. Enraged, the ascetic unleashed a devastating curse, proclaiming that the entire city would be completely destroyed.
And this curse, it isn't just a spooky campfire story for the locals. They actually tie it to real historical devastation. A lot of people believe the horrific 1783 Chalisa famine, which killed millions across North India, was the direct result of that guru's wrath. Plus, there's this mind-blowing physical legend that still lives on today. Locals swear that if anyone tries to build a house in the ruins of Bhangarh, the roof inevitably collapses. They genuinely believe the curse simply won't allow a roof to stand.
Moving right along to Section 2, The Princess and the Tantric, a classic tale of dark magic.
This legend focuses on Princess Ratnavati. She was incredibly beautiful, famously drawing marriage proposals from great kings far and wide. But on the flip side, we have Tantric Singya, this master of the dark arts. From the second he laid eyes on the princess, he became dangerously obsessed with her. But, knowing that a dark magician could never naturally win over a royal princess, he decided to take a much more sinister route.
And this brilliantly illustrates how things can just entirely blow up in your face. His sinister plan completely backfired. First, Singya waits in the marketplace and secretly hexes some hair oil being bought by the princess's maid. But Princess Ratnavati was highly intelligent, and she instantly sensed the dark magic. She hurled the bottle against a massive stone boulder. The magic transferred into the stone, and get this, the cursed boulder began rolling entirely on its own, heading straight for the tantric and literally crushed him to death.
But wait, it gets darker. As Singya is lying there dying beneath the weight of that boulder, he spits out a final, terrifying curse. He dooms the princess and literally every single citizen of Bhangarh to death, swearing that their souls would be trapped, wandering the fort for all eternity. And according to local lore, right after this curse, an apocalyptic war broke out with the neighboring kingdom of Ajabgarh. The invading army supposedly massacred everyone in Bhangarh, leaving the city dead and cursed forever.
Which brings us to Section 3, Echoes in the Dark. Let's look at the paranormal claims.
So what is exactly going on in Bhangarh after the sun goes down? Well, locals claim that in the dead of night, the ruined markets miraculously rebuild themselves and the royal court convenes like nothing ever happened.
People report hearing disembodied screaming, sudden bouts of creepy laughter, and the distinct jingling of traditional musical anklets echoing through the ruins. And even daytime visitors, yes, during the day, have reported this overwhelming feeling of being followed or even the terrifying sensation of being choked. Rumor has it, anyone who breaks the night ban either never returns, loses their mind, or meets a fatal accident.
So, the crucial point is, how much of this is actually true? Let's check out Section 4, Beyond the Myths, Investigating the True Mystery.
Here is the biggest, craziest piece of the puzzle. It's a massive historical vacuum. Despite the legendary tale of the neighboring kingdom invading and basically slaughtering the entire population of Bhangarh, there is absolutely zero historical documentation that this war ever happened. Every fort has a recorded history of its rise and fall, right? But Bhangarh's destruction is entirely missing from the history books.
Now this massive historical missing link has given rise to a much more logical, grounded theory, the treasure theory. Since there's literally no proof of a war, some historians suspect that massive amounts of royal wealth were hidden inside the fort's walls. And to protect this fortune from thieves, authorities intentionally spread these horrific rumors of curses, ghosts, and wandering souls to keep people as far away from the ruins as possible. It's basically a giant cover-up.
And when modern science finally steps in, the results are pretty telling. Authorized nighttime investigations by major news channels and the Paranormal Society of India did pick up some weird electromagnetic anomalies, but they found absolutely zero concrete proof of ghosts. No phantom markets assembling in the dark, no spectral kings holding court, nothing like that.
What researchers point to instead is just the immense power of suggestion. I mean, think about it. When you combine centuries of terrifying folklore with a literal government board banning night entry, your mind is already primed to be terrified. In that heightened psychological state, the natural sounds of the wind, or stones settling, or even just wild animals, are so easily misinterpreted as the supernatural forces you were warned about.
But, that leaves us with a truly fascinating, completely unanswered reality. If we strip away all the dark magic, all the curses, and the ghosts, and we acknowledge that there is literally no historical record of a massacring war, how exactly did a happy, prosperous city of over 9,000 people just turn into a desolate ruin 300 years ago, leaving absolutely zero trace of why they left? That historical silence is perhaps the greatest and most haunting mystery of Bhangarh Fort. Thanks